So the title is The State of SEO. What is the state of SEO? What have you been seeing? What's going on?
Yeah, I feel like SEO has increasingly gone brand and quality focused year over year. Increasingly, it's just so more and more competitive, such that as more and more brands are kind of like getting adept at search and understanding it's a channel that makes a lot of money, Google is figuring that out as well, and it's making everything harder for mid-market to smaller sites. So I don't think Google has necessarily changed a ton. Maybe they iteratively have over time, but increasingly it's these brands realizing they need to be doing search. So there's more of them in the search results. And then also Google just being better at picking up quality signals. So like by nature, brands are quality, and SEO wants to reward brands, and brands know that this channel is going to work, and more of them are learning that. So overall, it's just getting harder and harder. I don't think there's like some super fancy new sauce out there. It's getting more and more competitive every day.
I mean, I started doing SEO at like 1999, 2001, right? Kind of like the beginning era of the internet and search engines. And I ran a rave company, and I would just like say like light up golf balls. And just by putting light-up-golfballs.html, which all HTML sites back then, and then a nice title, I was like number one. I was king of the world with SEO. Now it's not quite that easy,
anymore,
right?
No.
And is that just because like bigger competitors are moving in?
It's part of it. Google, there was a phase there where Google realized that manipulation, and they set up processes in place to solve for that. So there were people that you could get a site-wide link that said rave Austin or whatever, and you would automatically rank really high. But that was a not naturally occurring activity, so Google could solve for that. So people that bought links or manipulated their way to show Google that I'm a brand, they could figure that out. It's like it is rocket science. I mean, I can't figure out that equation, but they effectively figure out the algorithm eventually to understand real signals versus manipulated signals. So that's where we are now. Now it's just everyone doing more and more of those real signals, in my opinion.
So I also noticed back in the day, like SEO was it was a bunch of shady mofos.
We didn't have a great reputation, unfortunately. Maybe ours is just kind of average now, I feel like. I don't know.
But it was a bunch of shady people. And here's the thing, it worked. Like if you bought a bunch of spam sites, all linked them to best wedding shoes or whatever, it worked. Like you tricked the algorithm.
Yeah.
I don't really see that often anymore. The shady stuff worked that well, unless there's like a whole underground thing I don't know about.
I think you're right, especially in competitive markets. The less competitive the space is, or maybe newer it is, the more likely that can occur. I think it's also maybe a little less competitive in some international verticals where people are ranking for things because there's not as many of those big brands that are playing. So if you don't have CNN trying to rank for something, and it's just a bunch of 5 Joes, it's the best of those 5 Joes, right? So that's sometimes part of the play.
I'm kind of piecing it together. I know Neil Patel, who's like a very contentious figure in the SEO community.
A little bit.
But whatever, like, I mean, he has a lot of traffic. Results speak for themselves, whatever you think of him. I remember he was going really hard on like translating into Portuguese or something like that. Yeah. And because he's just like, I guess Brazil has, 100 million plus people.
He has an agency there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he translates to Portuguese. There's not as many companies like ZipRecruiter focusing on the Portuguese, Brazilian market.
Exactly.
And so therefore there's, okay, that's really interesting.
So that's and that probably helps lift his US side as well. So I think one of the things that's helping people win now is multiple methods of monetization. So Neil has an agency. He's also making money off affiliate sites. He has an agency in Brazil now. So he can monetize in these locations. And the fact that this other thing can be monetized, it kind of lifts the other part as well. So he can make more money by spending $1,000 on this thing than someone else in that same position would spend. They could only make, say, $500 because they're just an agency. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
So by nature, his economics make it so he can spend all of his money on translating, on buying Uber Suggest, which is a tool that he bought and redirected into his site. All of those things allow him that economic advantage that he can win with.
Well, I think a lot of software companies too have done the same thing. So you have like TopTal or something, for example, and they're a software company or someone else, bad example, like Intuit, let's say. Intuit's a software company. They make money off their software, so they can spend $1 million a month on content marketing, and it totally makes sense for them.
For sure. Yeah, you're right. So their economic advantage is their SaaS product probably can convert better. They're more reputable, allows them to out.
I've honestly seen, like, in terms of any competition of mine, it's software companies I'm worried about. It's not like other copywriting companies. It's software companies because they tend to make like the best content from what I've seen.
Because they have the most money to invest in it, for sure. And they have high authority, so they can, I think it's a real challenge for sure on your kind of searches.
So, so as a consumer, okay, so as someone myself who goes to Google a million times a day, I've noticed that if I type in how to make an egg, they have their own content up there. So it says step 1, get egg, step 2, whatever. And it's just like in the little search snippet. Is that what it's called?
Yes, quick answer, featured snippet, however you want to call it.
As a person that uses Google all the time, I love this. Like, all I want to do is my brain to know how to make an egg because I got an egg in my hand and a pan and I don't know what to do. I'm trying to find the answer the quickest. I do not want to watch a 20-minute video about how to make an egg at this moment. Right. Maybe later when I'm bored. But I really love it. But I hear a lot of people in the SEO community complaining about it a lot because, like, your job is like, I want to go Google how to make an egg, be the first result, and then show people ads or get them to sign up for whatever. But now Google's kind of taking that content and kind of putting it right up there for their own benefit.
Yes, they are.
So as a consumer, I love it. What's the thought in the SEO community about these snippets getting smarter and smarter and better and better?
We're not excited about it for sure, but it's also you play the hand you're dealt. So actually one of our big processes is solving to get in those. So for people doing content marketing, it's very often a simplistic structure for your site. So if you're doing how to make an egg, you would want to have that be your H1, and then step 1, crack the egg in H2, and then the next step in H2 as well. Make it easy for Google to pull that out. It's kind of one of the things we now optimize for, that just a kind of soft approach. People don't think about simplistic structure for their posts, but that's how a robot interprets it. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to solve for that, to get into that, because it's the finite click-through rate we have. So we might as well, we're trying to get our client success, so we have to do that. But the good news is they have been encroached on. The FTC, I believe, was
for snippets,
for taking traffic from people. There's anti-monopolistic. I'm not huge on this, but still pay attention to it. Behavior against them for things like that, taking traffic from publishers. I know it's one thing Ahrefs is actually trying to do, is they're going to have their own search engine, which will pay publishers for traffic for showing those things, which is a cool way of hopefully doing the opposite version of what Google is doing in that situation.
That's I'm kind of conflicted about it because I kind of love them as a.
It's good for users, so you can't hate on that. And I think one of another things too is you understand what search results you're actually going to get click-through rate on. Ahrefs, whose shirt you're wearing, they have a tool that actually tell you the click-through rate by search. So that's a new factor we added now too, is we look at what is the click-through rate for this. Because even if the search volume's 10,000, if it's a definitional search, like what is copywriting, it's possible only 30% click. So we would rather rank for probably complex how-tos in a cybersecurity vertical, because no matter what, they're going to have to click. Because you can't get that in just a snippet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk about in the next segment. But like, there is like this compression of information that, like, okay, I do watch 20-minute videos on how to make an egg because it's like kind of fun. Yeah. But then also, like, I want to know right now because I got my apron on and I'm trying to make an egg. I need that information super fast. Yeah. So I do appreciate Google doing that.